making sure. There we go, recording, yay. Hope everyone is doing awesome. Excuse the background. This is normally where I work during the day, so it's a better webcam setup. So I figured may as well do the live stream while I'm actually working and not on the weekend. And give it a minute for everybody to show up. Okay, it's broadcasting in the right place. Hope everyone is having an awesome Friday. It's Maybon. First day of autumn. It's my season. I love autumn. Okay. Everything's all good. Yeah, if you show up, say hello in the comments. I'll happily say hello back. Again, hope you guys are doing awesome. Today, we are talking about how your life relates to tarot. Because I know a lot of people who have recently joined the group, and we are growing by the day, and it's awesome. A lot of people who have joined are worried about whether or not memorizing tarot card meanings and things like that. And it makes it super difficult if you stress yourself out about learning meanings only. Because that's not the point. Tarot is supposed to be fun and magical and all about divination and amazing things. So it's a lot easier for you to remember a tarot card meaning when you relate it to your everyday life. And I have my handy dandy deck here. I have my which is tarot deck here that I've used for my readings today and will continue to do so. And we're going to take a look at some cards and relate them to our everyday life. Because what's easier to remember, the time that you fell down and scraped your knee, or a million keywords? I think an actual memory is so much easier. And I go over this also in my intuitive reading course, which now is officially on Thinkific, and I'm excited. If anybody's interested, I will put a link towards the end of the video, so you guys can go check it out. But we go over characterization, symbolism, and treating the cards as little mini scenes from your life, because that's the easiest thing to do, especially if you're visual and you're a visual learner, which tarot cards and a lot of things in magic in general are visually based. So let's take an example here. Let's look. I talk about the Nine of Swords a lot. I got the Nine of Swords. So, fun fact, in the original Rider-Waite deck, because, you know, it was very, you know, Renaissance and, you know, oh, it's me, and knights and swords and blood and things like that. The Nine of Swords relates to the scene in Romeo and Juliet, if you've actually read the play, or seen the movie or heard something about it, where Juliet puts herself to sleep with Belladonna, I believe it is. Yes, that would make sense for time period. So she puts herself to sleep with Belladonna, puts herself into a coma in order to prevent getting married to Paris, which, again, if you read the play and you pay attention to the script, like I've had to a million times, doesn't make any sense. It's so much easier to say, I'm already married, than instead of, to avoid getting married to somebody else, I'm going to put myself to sleep. It makes no sense whatsoever. But think about it from her perspective. That was the only option that she had. I would rather pretend to be dead or actually die. Because she originally goes into the fucking, into the friar's office. I believe in the play it's a sword. In the movie it's a gun, and she holds it to her head, and she's ready to kill herself on the spot because she wants to be with Romeo only. Because she takes love seriously, whereas Romeo takes it as, you know, just a one-night stand and lust. But she was willing to die so she wouldn't have to be with anybody else. So it was worth it. Hello, person. I see one person's here. Say hello. So she was willing to do that. So think back to a moment in your life, relating this to your real life, where you have laid on your bed and cried, most likely during when you were a teenager, or when something really traumatic happened to you. And looking back, you think that was a little dramatic of me, but at the time, that was how you could cope. You know, I can think of, you know, a good chunk of my teenage years where I laid on my bed, burned candles, wrote poetry, and blasted Evanescence. I had my Nine of Swords moment, but for me at the time, it made sense, you know? So it's so much easier for me to think when this card comes up in a reading, you know, oh, this person is being an overdramatic teenager right now, but also at the same time, I've been there. So I know the exact feelings that are happening when it shows up, you know? And if you also notice, just taking a look, if you really want to get in depth here, think of a moment where you feel like the outside world is just looking at you, and you feel separated. The swords for the Witch's Tarot are covering over the window, and outside there's a crescent moon. So that says something too. What part of your life have you felt secluded or barred off? Even though there really isn't an actual barrier there, you can easily put it down, but at the same time, you feel it. It's an intellectual thing, which is why this one is kind of here. You're kind of mentally holding yourself up in your room. And I bet we all have moments like that. Where we mentally hold ourselves up in our rooms, we feel alone, and that's so much easier to remember how you felt than, okay, there's 9 swords, so numerology 9, and this is swords, so air and intellect, and you are feeling depression, you know, like just the regular keywords. You're gonna get so much more of an in-depth reading if you relate it to your own experience. Know what I mean? And if you have questions as we go ahead and ask in the comments. They will pop up for me, at least I hope so. Let me open up another tab and make sure that I'm getting comments. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Because it's so much easier to see things from, you know, put yourself as the character in the card. And I love to, it's the theatrical part of me, I love to treat each of the cards as little mini scenes. But like theater, these cards are based on moments in our life. So, just like a play is based around real life. So, hello! Iluned. I feel like I butchered your name. Hi! You made it! Huzzah! But yes, things like that. It's so much easier to see it as this is an extension of myself, because the best explanation I could find for it was the reason I usually go over this for why you can use tarot cards and oracle cards together, but major arcana are the biggest moments in our life, like death, births, marriages, things like that. So they're the huge moments in our lives. Minor arcana are the months, the weeks, the things in between that you forget about later on down the line, because they're not, you know, intense memories, unless you know it's a 3 of Swords moment, or things like that. But they're our general energy over time. And then oracle cards are what we're feeling at this exact moment, or days, things like that. So it makes sense that you would feel a 9 of Swords energy for months at a time. Things like that. Let's look at another one. Haha! I relate to this woman sometimes. I got the Queen of Cups here, and I'm sorry for the quality. It's a little meh, it's a little blurry, it's a little bright. Eventually, when Minicam stops being stupid and lets me do 2 cameras at the same time, I'll be able to put it on the table and you guys will see it better. But right now it's acting up for me. So Queen of Cups. So if you want to take this from memorizing card meanings, it's cups, so emotional. The queens are the nurturing part. They are more, you know, taking care of other people kind of thing. So obviously Queen of Cups would take care of other people. Want to look at the symbolism. She's on a beach. She's barefoot. Things like that. So let's actually relate this to our life. What moments have you had in your life where you are the Queen of Cups? Where people come to you to talk to you because they're super depressed or they're super upset, and it's like that girlfriend who calls you and They're just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do because he said he doesn't want to be with me anymore, you know, things like that. And you're like, calm down, let me talk to you then. That's a Queen of Cups thing. You're emotionally available for other people. You're nurturing. But at the same time, I bet we have reversed Queen of Cups moments where we are emotionally manipulated by other people. So for example, a friend of mine, I love him so much, but he's just too caring sometimes, where he's had 2 jobs in a row where they will have him work 70+ hours with no overtime. And he'll work for 6 days at a time, and they'll call him on his day off, and his boss would always pull, you know, a pathos. Just, you know, pull at the heartstrings. Just make him come in just to make him feel bad that he's not there. And over time he quits because he's like, I'm burnt out, I can't do this. That's a reversed Queen of Cups moment. You are so emotionally available that you get emotionally manipulated. Things like that. So it's easier to think of those moments in your life than think of a million keywords. You know? Doesn't make any sense. I'll give people a moment to answer. Let me see. Because it's so much easier then, because we often use tarot cards to enhance our magical work. It's so much easier than to relate a card to what you're doing right now in a spell. Because you're getting a certain energy from it. You're remembering a moment in your life, like, I am feeling absolutely down right now, don't know what to do, I just want to run away. What card comes to mind? For me, the 8 of Cups. Or the Hermit, if it's really that intense. Things like that. So it's so much easier, and it puts less pressure on you when you do comparisons to your own real life, when you're doing a tarot reading, than it is when, you know, you're pulling out your book and you're trying to do a million different readings with a million different keywords. So let's look at another one. Let's see. Okay, 6 of Pentacles. Okay. 6 of Pentacles in the Witch's Tarot, you know, this guy's being nice and giving a bunch of pentacles, giant pentacles, to these 2 little kids. Okay. So if you really want to break this down, numerology, you'd think of the number 6. You're looking at the symbolism, lots of green in here, so obviously a pentacle thing, it's awfully earth, he's grounded, he's not doing this on a whim, he's had this planned out for a little bit. But when I think of the 6 of Pentacles, I'm thinking of the nice guy that runs an ice cream truck. And he sees a little kid who doesn't quite have enough money. And he gives him an ice cream anyway. And just says, no, keep your money and don't worry about it. Or those moments where you go to go grocery shopping and it's a penny. And the cashier says, no, don't worry about it. I'm not going to get in trouble over a penny, you're fine. Things like that. Ilaned says, that does make sense. Yes, the key is to trust my instincts with the card, depending on what's going on in my life. Exactly! So if you have a moment in your life where you feel really generous, you're doing charity, right now all this stuff with all the hurricanes and the earthquakes, all the people that are going out there and just hopping in the water and helping people out or digging people out of rubble and don't want anything in return, that's a 6 of Pentacles moment. I think of charity. And I also think of, if we were to make this a scene, what originally was this well-to-do guy, because he looks pretty well off, he's got his furs and everything. There's no holes in anything, everything's bright, he's even got a little bit of green on a white feather on his hat. It's hard to see in the picture, but what was he originally doing with those pentacles? What was he going to do with that money that he had saved up? Obviously had a plan for something, but while he was walking he saw these kids who look a little bit more misfortuned. They're not as greened, they're not, they're in duller browns and yellows. The little girl's shirt is ripped right here. Again, a little hard to see. But things like that. He sees these kids and he decides to give it to them. And the manner in which he's giving it, he's not, you know, handing out his hand like, yeah, take it, trying to be creepy. He's just dropping it in their laps. His hand is dropping it. That says the manner in which it's being done. He doesn't care about the return. He's not taking no for an answer, he just drops it. And he doesn't care about what he had done with it before, he's giving it to them. And they're not even being greedy or anything like that. They are marveling at what he's already given. They're both holding a pentacle alone in their hands. They're not looking at the extra ones that are falling. They're not prepared to catch that much wealth. They're not prepared to... It's almost like, oh my god, you didn't need to throw me a surprise birthday party. Oh my god, you really did need to give me, you know, a retirement present. That's super nice of you, and it makes you feel awkward. Things like that. They're not expecting it. They're just marveling at, oh my god, this thing is beautiful. Oh my god, we have something. We can get food. Things like that. It's easier to bring those images to mind than memorize readings or meanings. Okay, my favorite of the Pentacles, I'm just going through my deck, is the Five of Pentacles. And I like this version more than the Rider-Waite version, because Rider-Waite, you know, has two people in the blizzard and they're walking by a church and they're poor and downtrodden. One one's injured, I think. This one literally just has a dead tree with the pentacles growing on it, and in the foreground there's a flower that was blooming but it's broken. So this is one of those cards where you think, okay, I'm thinking of walking home from school in a blizzard and it's freezing and I just want to go home. If you live in Colorado like me, you've gotten plenty of those. So, and especially with the mountains, and like, mountains are supposed to be for stability, if you want to go off of keywords and symbolism and things like that. So you have stability, but at the same time you're just like, why is this happening right now? I just want it to be over. So that's one feeling you can get with the Five of Pentacles. You can want it to be over already, and because there's nothing happening, it's just cold, it's frigid, you want to go home. But at the same time, you have things growing or attempting to grow. So it's like with every winter comes spring. It's the natural cycle of life. So you can see things as a fresh slate, which I like to mention in my readings, just how I take it. It's a fresh slate. You're gonna start over soon. This is just taking out all the bad. All the weeds are dead. You have a fantastic new place to start from. Or you can take it as, there's no opportunity here, it's time to leave. So, and that also, this card really relates to what your experience has been. Have you had a Five of Pentacles moment in your life that has been a barren wasteland? You felt like there was no opportunity, you were eating ramen for dinner for the past month, you know, you have holes in your shoes, you have to walk 5 blocks with your laundry just to go to an expensive laundromat, things like that, where you feel like you're really downtrodden. But then right afterwards you get the spread of abundance. You get the spread of wealth, and it makes it so much easier, you know? Things like that. We all have Five of Pentacles moments in our lives. Relate those to your cards instead. Yeah. Relate them to things that you've gone through, and it'll make it so much easier for a reading. And even if you do oracle cards, don't pay attention to what the card says, look at the imagery. One of my favorite things to do with the Wisdom of the Golden Path Oracle, that's my oracle deck, because I'm not crazy, well, not crazy, I'm very frugal, and I'm like, I don't need a deck right now. I only own 4 decks. So I have my moments where I'm looking at the art and I'm just like, this is gorgeous. I could just stare at the meanings and pay attention to what these characters are saying and wonder what is going through their lives. What can I do with this? And it'll be just awesome. Because, like, let me see. Let me pull up. Let's do an example with the oracle card. Because I have a million pictures of all my cards. Let's see. Let's see. Listing logos. And again, if you're late coming in, say hello. Okay. Let's add media file so we can see some of these beautiful cards and you'll see exactly what I mean. Sure, let's do this. And of course it would be a butthead and be a little bit hard to see. Come on. Settings. Layout, come on. Oh my god. It's being stupid. Okay. Look how pretty this card is. Just look at that. And even pixelated. And looking all kinds of funky. You can still see how much you could get just from looking at this a little bit. Whoa. Whoa. There we go. Okay, I'll leave it alone. So this is supposed to be emotions, right? But looking at this, it's such a beautiful, it's a beautiful mermaid in the water. And first thing that comes to mind is for my Witch's Tarot deck, oh, it's right on the bottom, yay, is the Five of Cups. Because the mermaids for me. So that's the first thing that springs to my mind. And yet it's supposed to be emotions. Okay? She looks depressed, honestly. She looks really upset. And at the same time, I'm thinking of cool colors. How many times have I just wanted to float in the bathtub and just put my ears under the water and just melt? That kind of serenity where you just want to reconnect with the element of water, things like that. And it's perfect that this is emotions because it is water. She's a mermaid. And water, the element, is connected with that. And it's also connected with, you know, spiritual emotions. And I don't have the book in front of me right now, which makes this perfect. Because this book comes with mantras for all the oracle cards, and it comes with, well, for meditation, and it comes with these very in-depth, beautiful meanings. So things like that. So it's just like, I'm looking at this and she's so upset, but at the same time, she's coming to terms with her emotions because she's letting it all out. She's surrounded by a watery element, and she's just letting it out. So in a reading, this would scream to me, it would scream to me that, you know, you need to let your emotions out. You need to get really connected with who you are again. Things like that. Elwood says, I have 4 decks and I've only been learning for 5 minutes. Some people are like that though. They get really drawn. Right now, I really want the Welcome to Night Vale Tarot. And I actually have a huge list of decks that I want. But at the same time, I'm like, food is priority. Diapers are priority. Things like that. But yeah, and you know what I mean though. It's so much easier to relate your own life experiences to a card. Or think of a movie. Or think of a play or a song even. Let's try songs, because I do shufflemancy. Shufflemancy's fun. For those that don't know what shufflemancy is, you basically go onto an iPod or Spotify or whatever you want, hit shuffle a certain number of times, and the song that comes up is your fortune. That's your divination. And you interpret the song. I usually interpret it with the notes. I do numerology with the notes and things like that. But sometimes when I pull a card, a song will spring to mind. and it makes it so much more in-depth for me because it gets me some emotion. So bringing in outside knowledge, like we talked about last week. So this one, I got the sun. Ooh, can I get it less glary? Less glary. There you go. So yeah, very bright, little boy on a horse. He's not naked, like the Rider-Waite. So a song that comes to mind, Walking on Sunshine. Come Clean by Hilary Duff. Oh, what is the song from The Wiz? Brand New Day. After the Wicked Witch is dead, you know. Get Luther Vandross and all kinds of kicking in here. So that's one. The High Priestess for this one, for the Major Arcana playlist. I did Oh Lord by In This Moment, mainly because of all the imagery of her holding, you know, the ball above her head, and to me that screams the crown of the High Priestess. So that's one. And see, those songs immediately evoke a reaction for me. I think of even this one, Unwritten for the Sun by Natasha Bedingfield, I believe is who wrote it. Things like that. So immediately moods are evoked in my head, but also because I'm very musical. So immediately I get in a sunshiny mood. Or immediately I get into a very spiritual mood, and then, you know, my my senses start kicking in, because every time they hear certain songs, especially by In This Moment, my arms will start going, and I'm like, ah. Intuition powers activate. Illumined says, because you practice shufflemancy, do you ever find yourself getting flashes of insight, divination while listening to the radio? Yes! And the radio is snarky with me, because there was a moment, the day that I quit my job, I worked at Amazon before I officially took on my reading business full-time, and my coaching business full-time. And it was nerve-wracking, and I just got off the phone with them, with HR, and I was crying, and I was upset, and immediately, as soon as I turned on the radio, Every Rose Has Its Thorn came on the radio, and I'm just, thanks, universe, I get the message. Super funny. But yeah, I get it all the time. And because I also connect to my intuition that way, it makes it so much easier to get into a certain vibe when I'm doing that. Yeah, I know. The snarky radio. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed today. A little bit, you know, more lax, take a look at my deck kind of thing. But, yeah, I know a lot of people, when I was reading their interviews, when they came into the group, they were really stuck on getting back into their practice and making it more enjoyable again. And one of the #1 things to do is to relate it to your life. Because your life is enjoyable. You're very welcome. I'm happy to help. But and that's what I'm like, talk. Communication, let me know how you're feeling. If you are doing a spread and you're confused and you have no idea what to do, take a picture and post it, and we'll all come up with some different things that it can mean. It just make this a magical experience for you. I want you to take control of your practice, your magical practice, your spiritual practice, and your divinatory practice, and just make it fun. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my intuitive program with you guys, because it's officially done.